I want to start kind of big picture. The story we're talking about this morning and is dominating the headlines is steel. Not a lot of impact onto your business, but nevertheless, you generate 50% of your revenues out of the United States. Do you worry, and drug pricing is one of those kind of hot political issues in the US, do you worry about the emergence of rising trade barriers? I'm not going to go as far as a trade war, but kind of just at the margin that actually we could start to see things being made a little bit more difficult.
I worry in general when we see a situation where we get into barriers and trade war, but I do not worry specifically for the pharmaceutical industry or Novo Nordisk as such, because I don't think drugs and medicines for people is an area that we will see no trade war on. But I worry in general because it'll have an impact on the economy and the industry as such.
50% of your revenues do come from the United States, and drug pricing is a hot political issue. Diabetes obviously is a hot health issue and continues to be one that dominates the headlines. Again, how important is politics in your thinking about how you are taking this business sort of forward strategically, with the sort of the political spotlight so sort of burned into this sector?
Politics are quite important. Clearly, there's a lot of focus on drug pricing in the U.S. The U.S. healthcare system is really a complex issue to deal with. We have seen that our net prices, what we take home, has actually been declining in the insulin space over the last few years. So we see that competition in the U.S. market, more choice for payers, is actually driving down pricing. So it is a very competitive market that we operate in. So we actually see drug pricing coming down. But I also understand that in the public opinion, a lot of Americans actually end up paying, when they pick up the drugs at the pharmacy, they have very high co-pays and they're not always getting access to the rebates that we pay. So this is really a complex issue that could get some attention from a policy point of view, which worries me. But the reality is that our net prices are going down, and that's based on competition.
Lars, let me ask you, you've been at Novo Nordisk for, I think, about 20 years. You ran the regional business, then corporate development. You've done you've worn a few different hats there. How does your job change considering the current politics of the world, with not only the fledgling trade barriers out of the U.S., but also Brexit? I mean, how does that change the way you have to think about doing global business?
You can say in the pharmaceutical industry, what really matters is the level of innovation you bring to market. So the core of what we do, really making sure that in the labs each and every day we make better products for people with diabetes and other chronic diseases, that is what determines our success on the long run. But of course, in the short to medium term, we have to face increasing uncertainty around the world. You mentioned Brexit, another really complex matter. There are 4 million people with diabetes in the UK. We are there for them, and that's what we focus on each and every day. And I'm sure that we'll get over these short-term issues, and there'll be a strong business also for the longer term.
What are the real decisions that you're having to make right now because of Brexit? I mean, how does that affect your actual physical business right now? What steps are you taking?
We have actually decided to invest in a research center at the Oxford University, and we keep going on that. So we don't see Brexit as such as something that's going to change our long-term strategic direction. Obviously, it can have an impact on flow of people in and out of the UK. But I trust that the UK government will do what is right for the UK, which will be to also make sure that UK stays a home for innovation. There's a fantastic innovation space around the universities in the UK, and that's what we're investing in, and keep pushing innovative medicines for those 4 million people in the UK that needs better treatment. So that's our North Star, and that's what we keep focusing on each and every day.
Sanofi got Abelinks.
Yeah.
You smile. What do you do now? Clearly, these companies are going to fetch high prices. What Sanofi paid was in some ways eye-watering with the multiples. Again, I'm curious to know, kind of, do you think that's true? Am I making the right statement there? And how do you now? Has your M&A strategy change? Do you change your thinking about pricing? Kind of just give me a sense of where you take the business, because clearly you were very keen on that. How do you progress from it?
So our starting point is that we have a strong core business. Our diabetes and obesity business grew by 7% in 2017. But we have a drag from our biopharmaceuticals business, which declined. So I would like to complement that with some external innovation and build on some assets. But it's also clear that we have a strong business overall, so we're not going to pay some of the really hefty premiums we see in the market today. So it's important to stay disciplined. And assets have different price points for different contenders based on the value they can extract for it. And I assume Sanofi believe that they could extract more value.
So you don't think that Sanofi overpaid?
I don't know their calculation. Clearly, that price range was too high for Novo Nordisk. But I think that potentially Sanofi has a stronger strategic fit that can justify their price. But you have to ask them about that.